Here's what I want to say about the new energy economy, that it was during my campaign where we were talking about how important it was for us to still stress that there is this traditional energy economy in this state that's very important to the state. Oil and coal and gas, those provide this tremendous economic stability, and even when they thrive, provide great revenue to the state. We have to figure out a way that that industry continues to thrive, but at the same time be stubborn about impact. And I think actually somebody used the word stubborn. We said that again and again in the campaign. Stubborn stewards about water, about air, about wildlife, about the things that make this state special. And we believe that there is this ability to carve out that balance going forward so that those industries thrive, and at the same time we measure impact and are serious about maintaining a mitigation of that impact so that our kids and our grandkids enjoy a different Colorado than they would if we weren't stubborn about it. So we said that, then we said renewable energy is this other part of it. We bring new renewable energy and we meld it with the traditional energy economy, and over time we coined this term, right? The new energy economy. So yesterday I have this really unique chance you get as a governor to sit down. The former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, and what he says is, in this country, we need this new energy economy. I said, Mr. President. There are reporters in the room, so I'm not going to imitate him. Because of my voice has kind of gotten those calluses from speaking too much, I can sound just like the former president. But he talked about this, right? This new energy economy. And in his speech, he said something to me that we had talked about when we were visiting, that the failure really of this country over the past 5 years was to think about job creation that would be in a different and new industrial sector, that as fast as things move in this country and as much as things change globally, that it's the role of the country to look at the industries, the industrial sectors, and say, where is their job creation? And it really is around domestic production of energy, both traditional energy and the new energy economy that includes renewable energy. And if you think about what we've been able to do in this state, and think about it in terms of the jobs, and think about it in terms of not just the jobs, the manufacturing jobs in producing or building these new plants, it's also in the vertical part of the industry where we're attracting manufacturers into the state. So since I was inaugurated, BP has decided that they're going to build a wind farm in Weld County, near Windsor. They're looking at other wind farms as well. Florida Power and Light's building one of the biggest wind farms in the country in Logan County. We have, just last week, went down and we cut the ribbon in Benton County on a new wind farm, 50 megawatts. It's right west of the wind farm that was already there on Highway 287. It's, as I said, 50 megawatts. It'll power 220,000 homes. Went to the San Luis Valley and did a groundbreaking there for Sun Edison, where they're going to build a fairly big solar plant. I was in Cortez, Colorado about 10 days ago, and we did groundbreaking as well there on what's going to be a biodiesel plant made from sunflowers, all that's a part of the sunflower economy there near Dove Creek, Colorado. And what you understand about these new plants that we're constructing or that we're opening is they're in places where we're absolutely adding value to the tax base of that county and in counties that can very much use that new economic activity. That's really exciting. And then in addition to that, you get Vestas coming in, the Danish manufacturer, and saying, you know, we're going to build our first plant in North America in Colorado. And we're going to bring in 400 jobs to Weld County. And we're going to tell our suppliers they have to move to Colorado as well. And then you get ABA coming to CSU and deciding in a joint agreement that looks like we'll be able to have solar manufacturing equipment made in Colorado in conjunction with CSU. It is something where we continue to see the verticalizing of this industry, and we see the horizontal path that we're on in terms of building out wind farms, solar farms, looking at the capability for geothermal, and say 8 months after the inauguration, it's just this different day in the state of Colorado, and it's a new day in the time for questions. I want to talk about two more things, and they're very important, I think, to the people in this room. Much has been made about different decisions that we have and that we're talking to the federal government about around energy development, the Rhone Plateau, the Vermilion, and other places as well. What I'll say to you is what I say to people in Washington, D.C., what I say to people in industry, and what I say to environmentalists that come to us. We are looking for the balance. We are looking for the way that we go forward and that we, again, extract those things that are part of our traditional energy economy, provide a great revenue base for us, but we are absolutely paying attention to impact. And the Vermilion is a great way for me to talk about that, because in the Vermilion Basin, it's up in Moffat County and the Little Snake, but the Vermilion is a part of it. And in Moffat County, there are good gas resources, but the BLM EIS that we were responding to said that they think of the Vermilion as about 2% of the resources in Moffat County. And they don't know. It could be less than that. It might be a little bit more, but nobody disagrees that it's probably single digit, and it's probably around 2% of all of just Moffat County. This isn't the West Slope. This is just Moffat County. Now the Vermilion also is largely untouched. There's not a lot of human activity that has happened on the Vermilion. It's a fairly fragile landscape, and so we said we object to the BLM drilling in the Vermilion. And the reason we do is because we did our own cost-benefit analysis. It said for so little benefit, 2% of the resources, the cost of going in and drilling, we believe, is too significant. But in talking to the people from the BLM, we know that they have the capability up there in terms of the permitting that's gone on already to go from 5,000 wells to 50,000 wells on BLM land or on private land where BLM still has the mineral rights. And that's a significant increase, if you ask me, in terms of just drilling as it relates to federal lands or public lands. And so it's important for me as the governor of this state to ask questions about impact, to say what happens to the largest mule deer and elk herds in the country there in northwest Colorado if we proceed at this pace. What happens if we just make decisions today about drilling and permitting and the technology gets better and the impact could be so much less? I mean, those of you in the industry, I have to compliment you on your utilization of technology and the way you've been able to lessen impact as a result of it. 10 years ago, nobody was doing directional drilling. Now almost everybody is doing directional drilling, and it has this serious mitigating effect on impact. It's the right way to think about technology, but it's also a reason for us to think about what might happen in the future so that when we make decisions today, we're not selling off resources that our children and our grandchildren should be able to enjoy, or doing something that impacts those resources in a way that makes them enjoy it in an inferior or a less, I think, beneficial way. That's the way we think about it. And again, we are doing all we can to talk to people and make sure everybody's at the table when we have these conversations. But that word stubborn is there for a reason. We are going to be stubborn about measuring impact, being mindful about impact, and doing all we can to mitigate the impact that this industry has so that we can say we did our best for the landscape and we did our best for the spatial places of the state. Finally, let me just talk about climate change. This is one of those things, again, in campaigns. Campaigns are dynamic, to say the least, and things happen fast and furiously. I was talking to, and I forget now, it was a water group, maybe it was the Colorado Water Conservation Group, and we were in the mountains, and there was going to be, I think, speeches. It wasn't a debate, but they said, you know, over time we were trying to say, what's a major water initiative? And on my sort of trip around the West Slope, before I got back to my campaign, I decided I didn't want to announce the major water initiative. I would just announce that I was going to do a climate change initiative, but I forgot to vet it with my campaign, right? I didn't tell my campaign manager, my policy people, anybody. I just stood up and said it because I believed it was the right thing to do. And they didn't necessarily agree that it was the right thing to do in terms of a political campaign, but it was the right thing to do substantively.